I want to get back to Alabama being a defensive team. I want to get back to people fearing our defense and offenses hating to play against us. Right now, that's not where we're at. You would think a team that has the greatest coach of all time and the #1 recruiting class of all time would be in outstanding shape and everything's going great for them. However, that's not the case. Yeah, it's cool that you got the greatest coach of all time in Nick Saban, and yeah, it's cool that you got all these 5-star recruits, but you don't have an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, you can have the greatest sheep in the world, but if you don't have somebody to lead those sheep, it doesn't matter. It's all for nothing. So with that being said, we have a slight, and I'm going to call this a mini update on the drama and just weird situation that's currently going on with the Alabama football team. I don't know another word to use. It's a weird situation, and in today's video, I got some good news for Alabama fans, but also some bad news. It is what it is. We're going to talk all about that situation, and another minor topic we got to speak on is Ohio State star wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba. Apparently, he's wide receiver 3 in the NFL draft. If you like college football content and you're not subscribed, consider joining. We would love to have you here. If not, that's cool too. All right, Matt, blah, 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 shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, only going to talk about this for about 45 seconds. Let me show you this, and I don't know what to think about it. Well, actually, let me change that. I do know what to think about it. I think it's BS. It's being leaked out and stated that several NFL scouts reportedly believe that Jackson Smith-Njigba is quote-unquote wide receiver 3 in the NFL. ESPN's Todd McShay said that he believes the Ohio State wide receiver is not a first-round pick. Oh, man. I can't help but laugh because remember, this is the same guy that sat out the bowl game and the game against Georgia, because he's trying to project his high draft status. And don't get me wrong, I think he should be a high draft pick, but apparently he's not going to be. I don't know, man. I'm going to say I don't believe this. If you do, it's cool, but I have a hard time believing that Jackson Smith-Njigba is going to fall out of the first round. Maybe he does. I don't know. Maybe there's some lingering injury that these NFL teams have found out about him or something's going on. I have no idea why he would fall out. I did want to share that with you guys because I did find it interesting. Moving on to the main topic of the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video, we got to talk about what's going on at Alabama. You want the good news or the bad news first? I say, I think last time we did good. Let's do bad. The bad news starts with the offensive coordinator position. A lot of people, we knew this was going to happen. Bill O'Brien, he's left. Okay, that's fine. What's next? No Alabama fan is upset that Bill O'Brien decided to leave. However, like I've said numerous times before, the hard part isn't getting rid of an offensive coordinator or them leaving. The hard part is trying to find a new one to replace them. Especially at Alabama, because they don't just want some average Joe, they want a great one. There's a lot of speculation going around that Nick Saban was going to go after TCU's offensive coordinator Garrett Riley. And, well, long story short, that did not happen because Garrett Riley went to he went to Clemson. So with Garrett Riley really the only great offensive coordinator taken off the board, there's no one really to target. The only one that's gained a ton of traction recently is Dan Mullen from Florida, which I love. That would be an amazing hire, and Jeff Lebby from Oklahoma. Me personally, I've never understood the Jeff Lebby one because I don't think he's going to leave Oklahoma. The only one that made a ton of sense to me is Dan Mullen. For obvious reason number one, Dan Mullen, he's not a coach. He's not a coordinator anywhere. He's just on TV. To go on top of that, could you imagine Dan Mullen with that Alabama talent and offense? I think he'd do an amazing job, and that's understating it. Say what you want about Dan Mullen at Florida, I don't care. The man knows his stuff when it comes to the offensive side of the ball. Defense, not so much. When it comes to offense, it's hard to argue that there's a better mind in the game. Unfortunately, though, I've been following this closely the past couple of days. Dan Mullen, he's not even a candidate for the job because he doesn't even want to be a head coach. He's enjoying his time on TV. I'll show it to you right here word for word. Mullen has enjoyed the time away from coaching to be with his family and also wants to concentrate on his TV career as a football analyst. Hey, that makes total sense to me because being a football analyst, there's no stress whatsoever. Talk about football for a couple hours, and also key word is he gets to spend more time with his family. I think a lot of people don't understand when you're a college football head coach or even a coordinator or even around the football team, it takes up your entire life. And it's not just at the college level, even the high school level. When you are a head coach of anything, it consumes your life. And I'll tell you this much, I myself have enjoyed listening to Dan Mullen on TV. I think he's great. He knows his stuff, so I wouldn't mind him continuing his TV career. I could listen to him talk all day long. Getting back on track here at Alabama, okay, so now that you mark off Garrett Riley off the board and you mark off Dan Mullen, well, who are you looking at? Normally when a school has a new opening at the offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator position, you can point to 3, 4, 5, 6 guys and go, okay, those are our candidates. You immediately think of, okay, I would like this guy to come in, or maybe this guy or this guy or this guy. But for Alabama right now at the offensive coordinator position, there's not even 2 guys you can point to. And I have a hard time trying to pick out one guy. So that's where we're currently at with the offensive coordinator position. I'm not going to speak on it too much more because we don't know anything more. It doesn't seem like we're going to hire an offensive coordinator anytime soon. I'd be shocked if we hired one within the next week or 2. I'd be shocked. I'm sure Nick Saban's making some phone calls and he's trying to find a new guy, but I don't think he's narrowed it down to anybody. And oh yeah, let me address this. We haven't even spoke on it. Alabama's going to have a new quarterback next year. Whoever it is, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a new quarterback. And with that new quarterback, whoever the offensive coordinator is, it's going to be his first year with that quarterback. A lot of people don't even think about this, but I'm going to tell you, it is hard to learn an offensive system and playbook and get comfortable within 2 years, regardless of one. Regardless, I meant to say rather less one. You get what I'm trying to say. So that's the bad news for Alabama. I wouldn't be extremely worried about it, but it's definitely something to keep your eye on. Now that we've gotten the bad news out the way, let's talk about the good news. The good news is on the defensive side of the ball, Jeremy Pruitt's name has been circling around a lot in the past couple of days. The reason for this, and I'm sure some of you have heard this, it's because Jeremy Pruitt recently bought a truck 2 hours away from Tuscaloosa. I wish I could sit up here and lie to you guys and say, hey man, this is a sign that Jeremy Pruitt's going to be the next defensive coordinator at Alabama, but I'm not going to do that because I don't believe it. I don't see how you can even tie these two things together. And here's a fun fact for you. The guy that Jeremy Pruitt bought the car from, he was interviewed and he stated, I don't think it has anything to do with Alabama. He just wanted a new car, or actually it's a new truck. I get it, Bama fans. You want to try to tie these things together, but that's just stretching this way too far. You're reaching with that. But here is what you need to pay attention to. Jeremy Pruitt was on campus this week. That's the big thing about all of this. I don't care about the truck theory. If you want to believe that, cool. I don't care about that. What I care about is Jeremy Pruitt was on campus. Here's where things start to get interesting though, because most people are going to bring up, well, what about Jeremy Pruitt? He has this whole investigation going on where he was at Tennessee and blah, 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 blah. Look, the bottom line is Jeremy Pruitt did some shady stuff at Tennessee, but most of us know this. But here's what I don't understand, because everybody's going, oh, well, since Jeremy Pruitt did this, there's no way Nick Saban's going to hire him. He doesn't want all that mess going on in Tuscaloosa. Well, here's my counter argument to that, because I don't understand it whatsoever. Nick Saban is notorious for hiring offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators with a terrible past. Ladies and gentlemen, may I remind you that Tuscaloosa, Alabama is where the best rehab center in America in the world resides at. The Nick Saban Rehab Clinic will go down as one of the best in the world. To all these people saying, oh, Nick Saban wouldn't dare hire Jeremy Pruitt with all the stuff going on with him, you mean to tell me Nick Saban wouldn't hire Jeremy Pruitt, but he'd hire Lane Kiffin years ago? I feel like a lot of people forget all the backlash and how bad of a reputation that Lane Kiffin had when Saban brought him on. Like, come on, man, what are we doing? And it's the same thing with Steve Sarkisian. I could keep going, I really could, but the only example I need, and the best example is, if Nick Saban hired Lane Kiffin, why would you think for a second he wouldn't hire Jeremy Pruitt? And I'll be honest with all of you, I want somebody who's shady, who's risky like Jeremy Pruitt running the defense. I'm tired of having a nice guy like Pete Golden running the defense. I want somebody that's going to bend the rules. I want somebody that's not going to do it by the book. I want somebody that's aggressive, that's assertive, that's going to take some chances. I want somebody that on 1st and 10, they're going to blitz 9 guys and drop 2 back into coverage. You got to take risk in this life, and especially on defense, you got to take risk. You can't just bring 3 and drop 8 back and let the quarterback have all day to throw and be comfortable like Pete Golden always did. That's the one thing about Pete Golden. Yeah, he's good at what he does, but he never blitzed, and when he did blitz, it was at the wrong times. Jeremy Pruitt is what the defense needs. I never felt like the defense and Pete Golden, they related. They didn't really get along. I mean, sure, they probably like Pete Golden, but that's the problem. I don't want you to like the defensive coordinator. I want you to fear him. I feel like if we bring Jeremy Pruitt back, we got a chance of going back to that 2017, 2016, 2015 type of Alabama team. I want to get back to Alabama being a defensive team. I want to get back to people fearing our defense and offenses hating to play against us. Right now, that's not where we're at. Right now, when teams hear the name and see Alabama, they think, okay, we got to outscore them. Whereas 10 years ago, it was like, dang, man, I just hope we can get over 10 points. You see what I'm saying? The mentality has switched over the past couple of years. Teams no longer fear Bama, and you shouldn't. You shouldn't fear this Alabama team anymore. There's nothing to fear, and until we get back to those days, it's going to be rough. I'm not saying Jeremy Pruitt has the best morals in the world. I'm not saying he's the greatest guy in the world, but if anybody can bring back this Alabama defense to the glory days, it's him. I'll give you a great example. It's like business. The people that own these multi-billion-dollar companies, do you think they're playing it by the book? No! They're bending the rules. They're finding loopholes. That's why Donald Trump never paid taxes, because he's finding loopholes. That's what Jeremy Pruitt is, and that's who I want coaching the defense. I don't want some nerd like Pete Golden looking at the analytics going, okay, if it's 3rd and 15 according to the analytics, if we drop 8, then we have a great chance of stopping them. No, if it's 3rd and 15, bring the house. Put pressure on them. I'm tired of our defense sitting back allowing the offense to dictate what's going to happen. I want our defense to dictate what the offense is going to do. I don't care about the analytics. All I know is we need some dogs out there. We need guys that are mad at the world playing on defense. We need guys like Reuben Foster out there. That's just a guy that I always remember when I think of a straight up dog. You're talking about a guy that was just pissed off at the world and wanted to knock you out every single second of the game. That's Reuben Foster. I'm not going to go as far as you saying we need some straight up thugs out there like a Rolando McClain. You get what I'm saying? But we need guys who are angry. Did we have some great guys on defense the past couple of years? Yeah, Will Anderson's an outstanding player, but we need the entire defense to be mad at the world. We had talent, but it feels like our defense and the talent we had on defense the past couple of years, it was soft. It felt like we had a bunch of guys from West Coast playing on a team in the Southeast. That's the only way I know how to describe it. We got great 4- and 5-star recruits, but they've been playing soft. We need to get back to that nit and gritty type of play style, and I think Jeremy Pruitt can bring it back. Let me know your thoughts down below. But